Overture, cut the lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart. Overture, cut the lights. This is it, we'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Hi everybody, it's Goose. I am back with another edition of On With The Show to talk to you about some entertainment news, some movies, some TV shows. But let's get right off the bat. The biggest thing this week, the biggest news this week, of course, Rosanne and the crazy tweet that she sent out comparing Valerie Jarrett to a combination of Islamic terrorism and Planet of the Apes. First of all, my take on this, I mean, I understand. I think maybe she wasn't, I want to say maybe she really wasn't thinking clearly when she tweeted this. I think it was a poor attempt at a joke. I think anybody reading into it can, I've, people who've, there's a derogatory comparison between African Americans and primates. And I think it's a sad thing. I think she just really was a thing. And my opinion with Rosanne is I think it was a poor attempt at a joke that was taken probably way out of context. Was it in poor taste? Yeah, it was very poor taste. And the problem is that a really good show has come off the air, and the rest of her cast has pretty much suffered. Because of this, she went out and tweeted again saying, don't feel sorry for me, feel sorry for the hundreds of people that are now unemployed because of this. But I do want to say something about this before going on, because Bob Iger basically came out. He's the head of Disney and the head of ABC Studios, and he came out and he said that this was repugnant and not a it wasn't something that showed their values. And I wanted to ask Bob Iger, what are your values? Because some of the shows you've had on ABC have, I don't know. I wouldn't think that they were of high family values to begin with. In one TV show, you have a man cheating on his wife with someone that he used to work with. And yet he refuses to stay with his wife. He'd rather be with his mistress. Over and over again. You have people who, now don't get me wrong, you do have some really, really good television shows, very good comedies, Modern Family, Speechless, what is it, The American Housewife, very funny shows, Goldberg's, very funny shows.
The one show that I watched a while ago, I'm counting years, was like the Full House.
Full House, yeah.
Full House.
Full House, you had shows, and the Full House was back from I think the 90s.
Late 80s.
Late 80s and early 90s.
And according to, from what I read, it ran from 87 to 95.
Okay, go check IMDb. I'm sure you'll see it there. Anyway, but I want you to think about it. What are your values, Mr. Iger? I understand that the tweet is not of the values that you hold high as far as racism and equality, but let's just take a step back for a minute and just find out, okay, if you're going to put a particular show on where a man cheats on his wife and does it proudly, then I think it's wrong.
Yeah, it's really wrong.
I think you've got to kind of step back and wonder what your values are.
And just take a step back and think,
yep.
and think deeply about what is happening and what you're doing.
What you're doing, exactly. Now let's go on to the Sam B issue. Now Samantha B, who has her show on TBS, called Ivanka Trump a word that I'm not going to say. All I will say is it starts with a C. Ends with a T, and I don't even say it, okay? Because I don't even want to. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. She's come back and she's apologized, and I think that that's a great thing. But here's the thing. First of all, there are certain words you just don't use. You just don't use at all I mean, unless you're doing a movie, I mean, I think you can get away with it because we have ratings that will tell us about that. But there are certain words you don't use to describe people. All right? Especially a woman on another woman, okay? Now, here's the thing. Here's the problem I have. This was pre-scripted. It was pre-scripted. It was taped. It was shown throughout all of the offices at TBS. And it cleared every office. Okay? So, I don't lie the blame at Sam B, because I think she pretty much would, if someone had says you can't say that, you have to, okay, they've cut it out. I think she'd accepted that. But the fact that it went through all the channels and it cleared all the channels, I blame TBS for this. Because you should have known better. You should have known better that this was something that was going to get caught and then replayed and then put your talent in bad light. So shame on you, TBS. You should have known better. You should have known better. I lie the blame of this at your feet. All right? So next time when somebody does something like this, don't feign shock. Oh my gosh, we didn't know this.
Do not act like it didn't happen.
Don't act like it didn't happen. Own up to it and say, yeah, we let her do it and we apologize, because I have yet to hear an apology from TBS. All right. So, let's talk about the film that just opened today. Just before we get to a break, let's talk about the movie that opened today, which is called Upgrade. Now, Upgrade is a very interesting film. When I first saw trailers for this, I thought it was very interesting. I wasn't sure how this was all going to work, but when I was watching it today, it reminded me a lot of the $6 Million Man back in the late 70s. The guy gets severely injured, and he comes back as, a Superman with bionic arms and, limbs and stuff. This one's a little different. This one, and I can see where they were going with this, because this was, first of all, it's set in the near future. They have cars that drive themselves, and they have drones. They have drones that, police drones that fly overhead and try to capture the crime and all this other stuff. It's very futuristic. And basically what it is that you have somebody who, for the best way is like he becomes paralyzed and he comes back to life by someone planting a computer chip in his body, so that all of a sudden now he can come back, he can now walk again, he can now talk, he can do all the things he used to do because of this computer chip. The interesting part about this, what I like about this film, is that it is it's very, the theme is very telling, because how much technology do we really want?
Exactly.
I mean, how much technology? I mean, because we already have a lot of technology as it is. We can already, we have more computer power in our hands with our phones. We have more. We can get from here to there by pressing a button. So how much technology? Because if you think about it, this would be something great in the near future for those paraplegics and quadriplegics who would like to be able to walk again and be able to do the things they normally could do. But this film is very chilling, and it gives a very, very interesting look at what the future could look like when technology decides to become a medical issue in this realm. I will say this: this film is violent. This film is very violent when it gets down to it, and so it's hard for me to give it a really high grade. This is not something you can really take your kids to. It's very entertaining. The action in this is incredible, but the violence is really sometimes the violence is sometimes really hard to stomach. And I've seen a lot of movies with a lot of violence. So, it can be absolutely crazy, but but it is what it is. It's a great action film. Very good. I don't want to call it. I don't want to even call it science fiction, because even though it's set in the future, but it is something. But if you've got, it's well worth the money to go check out. But if you're not into the action violence, you probably want to pass on this. Otherwise, if you're a really big action fan, this movie is a big hit for you. You'll like this, and I think you'll be really, really entertained. I got enough time to talk about one of the movies. I got enough time. One of the movies I went to the Redbox to get this last week was a movie called All the Money in the World. Now, this is based on the true events of the kidnapping of John Paul Getty III, and basically all that happened with him being kidnapped, him being kept, his mother trying to get the money to save him, J. Paul Getty not wanting to spend any money to get his grandson out of I don't know, probably in captivity, I guess is the best way you could put it. And I love this film for couple of the main reasons. Now let me go into some of the controversy that happened with this film. First of all, J. Paul Getty was supposed to be played by Kevin Spacey, and then they've even showed Kevin Spacey in makeup as J. Paul Getty. And then, of course, we find out that he is a sexual predator of teenage boys, and it was in 45 days before they're supposed to release the film, director Ridley Scott got the band back together and said, we're going to reshoot everything that was with Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer. Let me tell you something. Christopher Plummer is a damn good actor. Anything he's in, you should watch. All right? Anything that this guy does, you should watch. He does a very good job of portraying John Paul Getty as this very complex guy of not sure how to handle this situation. It's basically said that I have 14 grandchildren. If I pay ransom for one, I'll have to pay 14 ransoms because I'll get 14 kidnapped grandchildren. A lot of truth to that. But the guy also shows his true colors and how greedy he really is. He's like he's there's at one point where he doesn't want to spend the money to free his grandson, but he goes and spends $1.5 million on a painting, a very rare painting, and it's a painting by a very rare painting, by the way. It's very rare. So I mean, it was well worth it. But it's like you got to see where his true colors lie. Let me tell you something about this film, though. This is some amazing acting in this film, and the one person I got to applaud in this film is Michelle Williams, who is by far fantastic. This is one of the best parts she's ever played. I mean, she really shows as a mother, as Mrs. Getty, they keep calling Mrs. Getty, who is battling not just her grandfather, but her ex-father-in-law, but she's also battling the police department that's really not doing much, and a private detective who's really not doing a whole lot. She feels like she's the one who has to go out and get all this done, and she's, the film is amazing. There was also another part, a little controversy about when they did the reshoots, they paid Mark Wahlberg over $1 million, and they paid Michelle Williams like $100,000, and there was a huge discrepancy.
That's a huge gap.
That's a huge gap. And let me just be upfront and say that's wrong. What's even more wrong is the fact that they have the same agent, or at least the same agency. So why is it that they weren't trying to get her the same money as they got him? And I know, here's the thing about this. I can understand a little bit because some people will argue Mark Wahlberg is a bigger name. Yeah, he's a bigger name. But ladies, you got to ask for the money. And I think that you should, in times like this, demand
Yeah, like
a bigger pay.
Ask for your money.
Ask for your money. Demand, I want a bigger paycheck. All right? Now, I just find it weird, but Michelle Williams really helps carry this film. And she puts out a great performance. This is a really good movie to rent. It's a little over a couple hours long. But if you got a chance to watch a really good historical drama, go out and get All the Money in the World. I'm late for a break, so when we come back, I'm going to talk about a couple other films I got at the Redbox. One for your kids to watch, you'll love it. And I finally got a chance to got to get a chance to get on my YouTube Red to see Cobra Kai. I've been putting that off for a couple of weeks. People have been asking me about it. I'll give you my ideas about that on the way back off this break. This is Goose Scott from On With The Show here at the beautiful Bakersfield Hall of Fame at kerncast.com. We'll be back right after this with Patriot Bail Bonds. If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail. I'll see you after the other side of this break.
See you later. Whatever.
I choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
If the best criminal attorneys choose Patriot Bail Bonds, who would you choose?
Patriot Bail Bonds. We fight for your freedom.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Whatever. My producer wanted to say, "Be right back," and whatever. All right, are we having fun? I just want to say we're having fun.
Sorry, guys. I literally didn't know what to say. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. They forgive you. They love you anyway. All right. Again, at your local Redbox. I've been wanting to see this film for a long time. I've always thought that Ferdinand the Gentle Bull would make a great film, especially if a cartoon. And I was pleased when late last year they released it with John Cena as the voice of Ferdinand. And this was a great film. This was so touching and loving, and it was just, and I mean, this was, as an animated film, you want to be able to find something that not just you can watch as an adult, but the kids can watch too. And I think this was one of the better films that really showed what you can watch and not feel worried that something weird is going to come up on the screen. John Cena, like I said, John Cena voices the Ferdinand. Kate McKinnon. Ferdinand. And I have to also say, and Kate McKinnon plays. Oh God, what's her name? The goat. What's the goat's name?
I don't know the goat's name.
I'm sorry. First of all, I have to apologize because last week when we did our summer blockbuster show, I couldn't remember Kate McKinnon's name. All I could remember is Kate. So it's Kate McKinnon. So if you're out there, I apologize for butchering your name last week. But you did a really good job. First of all, Kate McKinnon does a really good job of playing the calming goat, Lupe. And she ends up becoming Ferdinand's coach because Ferdinand gets stuck in having to. He's got to learn how to fight, and she's trying to. And the great lesson about this is that even though Ferdinand is this big bull, he doesn't want to fight. It's Ferdinand the Gentle Bull. This was and just the way this whole story played out of how, I mean, I'm not going to give away the whole plot, but how at one point he started to grow up on this ranch, and his father went out to fight the bullfighter, and everything's set in Spain, and then he escapes when his dad doesn't come back, and it's quite touching. And then he ends up on this farm. He grows up to be this big bull, and this is a very touching film. He somehow ends up back at the farm where he grew up, and all the little ones that he have all grown up, and they're like, and not only is this a very touching film about this film is basically about being true to yourself. You shouldn't have to change.
You don't have to change it to please everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to change to please everybody else. And this is a great story with a great theme. Your kids will love it. I know I loved it. The extras, the special features, are also great to watch of this too. So I think go out to the Red Box, get Ferdinand for the weekend, and just sit back in your air conditioning and just watch this film. Your kids will love it. Moving right along, this movie was nominated. Lady Bird was nominated for 5 Oscars this past year. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Supporting Actress, and this was a really good. This was a little bit different because this is a coming of age story. From the female perspective, and it's a coming of age story between the love of a mother and a daughter, and the expectation that each have for Lady Bird. And it's really interesting because Lady Bird. The other thing I like about this film was that it's set in East Sacramento. Okay, who does a film in East Sacramento? Because usually, hardly anybody.
I don't think...
hardly anybody. I like the fact that more and more films are being shot outside of big cities. Because, I mean, there was a time when all the films were shot in New York, L.A., San Francisco, Chicago. It was like, that's where all the films were. Now you're seeing films shot in East Sacramento, which I find interesting. And so, and so Lady Bird, basically, she's growing up in East Sacramento. She wants to get out as far away from East Sacramento as possible. And her mom, of course, is Laurie Metcalf, who does a fantastic job in this role. Like any other parent, wants her kid to stay close to home, so that it is a very, very touching film, and it is this dynamic where you have this young lady, Lady Bird, who's just trying to live the life that she wants to have. She envisions this life that she wants to have, only she begins to find out that the life that she envisions is much tougher that she anticipated. And the people that she believes are her friends are not really her friends. And these are tough lessons. And what I like about this is that this isn't just a film that you can watch and relate to just for women. But I think young men would be able to understand this film too. And how the dynamic of all this works out. The other thing I love about this film is the fact that toward the end, when Lady Bird, she finally gets what she wants, she realizes that she paid a big price to get what she wants, and she also realizes that because let me just be honest, as a parent, our kids think that they know more than we do. Isn't that right?
Yes, exactly.
Guess what they find out sooner or later? We're smart all along. We know what we're all talking about because we've lived it. And I think that's one of the interesting dynamics of this film, because you have an overbearing mother and a daughter who's trying to just live her life the way she wants, and the great conflict there. Greta Gerwig, who wrote and directed this fabulous job, I think she did a fabulous job with it. And I can see why that she's becoming one of the newer, hotter properties in Hollywood. I'm looking forward to seeing what she puts out next. Laurie Metcalf, of course, again, great actress. I think the actress who played Lady Bird, I think her name was Saoirse Ronan. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's Irish. Okay, so I mean, if I butcher your name, I'm very sorry. But and if you watch the film and you try to figure out where you've seen her before, she also played the lead in The Lovely Bones. So, and which is another fabulous film that she did, and I think that if you have a chance to see The Lovely Bones, you should run right out and get a copy of it. But I can't highly recommend this movie enough. Go back to your Redbox, get this film, watch it. There's a reason why it was so well received in Hollywood, and there's some crazy comedy in it too. So I'm really happy that I went out and watched this film. So moving right along. Now, a lot of people have been asking me the last couple of weeks because I was going to review Cobra Kai. And I had not had a chance to get it. Hadn't had a chance to see it. And basically, Cobra Kai is basically, what would you say? It's the Karate Kid saga, and it's 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
Years later. And Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence have grown up, and it's interesting to see the dynamic of where these two had started out when they first did the first Karate Kid and where their lives ended up and how they kind of paralleled and moved in different directions. And here's the interesting thing, because YouTube Red is the one that is the distributing company for this. And I will be totally honest, when YouTube Red first came out, I wasn't sure of getting it.
I didn't want to get it because you had to basically, it's basically like Netflix.
It's basically exactly. It's Netflix. It's a service. It's a premium service for a company that you could get stuff for free. Okay, so I didn't understand it. Here's the thing. Because I was thinking about looking into YouTube Red, and people, friends of mine who had gotten it, didn't like it. They were very low on it. Disappointed because the production quality in the shows that YouTube Red was putting out weren't there. They were just basically, it was almost like you and me got our cameras out and we did. Hey, welcome to the. We did a show, yeah. And we wrote a script. Oh yeah, this will be funny, and we shot it, and that's basically what. The production quality wasn't really there. The interesting thing about with Cobra Kai is that it really shows that, because the executive producer, of course, Ralph Macchio, he's one of the executive producers, and you could really tell that they put their time in. And he was even said in an interview, because he's been approached about doing Karate Kid stuff for a while, and he said it would have to be the right time with the right script. I mean, everything would have to come together. And what he saw here was something that looked very much real and close to the saga that they had started back in the 80s with the Karate Kid. Very quickly, and I'm very high on this show. It looks really good. And I like the storylines because, of course, what ends up happening is all these years later, you find that Johnny is the one that's struggling. The pretty boy's struggling. He lives in a crappy apartment. He has a crappy job. And he hasn't probably done any kind of karate in years. And whereas Daniel LaRusso, he now owns a big conglomerate of dealerships in LA and auto dealerships. He sells cars, and he still does the karate thing, but and it just seems like from that point their destinies went in other directions, and I find that in the interesting parallel from the first one. And as a matter of fact, there's a scene in Cobra Kai where one of Johnny's neighbors is getting the crap kicked out of him by four other guys who were gonna, and so he basically steps in and says, leave the kid alone, and then what are you gonna do? And the four teenagers come after him, and he all of a sudden rediscovers his karate and beats the snot out of him. If you go back to Karate Kid, there's a nice parallel where Johnny and his Cobra Kai brothers are beating on Daniel LaRusso, and 4 of them against one kid. And of course, Mr. Miyagi leaps out of the shadows and beats the snot out of the Cobra Kai guys. Interesting. You see the parallels there. So I like the fact that they're combining some of the new footage with the old footage to show what has been going on between these two different characters all these years. It looks like it's a very promising show, and I'm hoping that they don't
screw it up.
I don't want to say screw it up. I'm kind of afraid that what they're going to do is they're going to try to rely so much on the old footage, the old story, the old footage, and kind of pull that in so much that it just doesn't become that Cobra Kai isn't fresh. It's not a fresh show. It's become basically a regurgitation of Karate Kid movie. So, but for right now, as a matter of fact, I was watching the second episode as we were setting up the show today, and again, it looks really promising. We'll see how it all works out. Couple of things before we go. Some theater notes. Some local theater notes. The Bakersfield Community Theater is holding their auditions for the Youth Theater Summer Workshop on next week. It'll be June 9th. I think the auditions are 1. The show they're doing is The Jungle Book. Now this ought to be interesting. This ought to be an interesting show. And let me tell you something. This is one of the few programs where they don't charge you. They don't charge you to have your child go through this workshop. Now you need to be, as a parent, you need to be pretty committed to the workshop. But as far as I'm concerned, anything that, again, with summer coming up, you want to get your kids involved in some projects, and I think a good theater project is right where they should be. Closing this weekend, go to the Ovation Theater, Dream
Sorry, guys.
Dreamgirls is closing. God, my brain is like... Dreamgirls is closing this weekend at the Ovation Theater. Keep laughing. Okay, just kidding.
Sorry. Okay.
All right. Dreamgirls is closing this weekend at the Ovation Theater. Go check it out before it's all gone. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to get some new. I didn't see much on some new shows for this week. Maybe it was just something that I didn't catch coming out. But I'm sure that But I can tell that I've been looking. We got a lot of upcoming shows for the next month, a couple of months, and I'm really excited to see where our local community theater goes. All right, that's it for me this week. I've had a lot of fun today. My producer Tyler, have you had fun?
Yes.
Yes. We had a lot of fun today. I want to thank Patriot Bail Bonds for helping promote my show. If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail. I don't know the number off my top of my head, but
that sounds like a jingle.
But I'm really thankful for them. For them helping promote my show. Until next week, go catch the show. My name is Goose Scott. We're here with Kerncast.com and Blue Sky Media here at the beautiful Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame. This is On With The Show, so go out and catch a show.
Bye.
Overture, cut the lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart. Overture, cut the lights. This is it, we'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.